Hi everyone! I'm recording through my earphones today because I want to try and be a little bit quieter. There are people awake in the house and don't want it to be awkward if they hear me talking to myself. So yeah. Yesterday was a really good day because I got a job. I went to the interview and got the job, so yay! I'm really happy and excited, but yesterday, like, preparation, and then I went and kind of celebrated with my family yesterday. It was just really tiring. By the time I came back home, I was exhausted, so that's why I'm kind of in my lounging around clothes for today, or at least right now. And what else? I start my new job in April, so that'll be fun. Yesterday my grandma gave me a bunch of magazines that she didn't want anymore, so I'm going to be cutting out pictures. I used to do this when I was a kid. Just cutting out pictures that I want from it and maybe using it for like a what do you call it? Oh, it's gonna kill me. Like the vision boards and stuff, or just for artwork in my sketchbook. I don't know what they're gonna go to yet. I'm just gonna cut out pictures that I like. While I'm doing that, I'm going to be answering questions to the what's your craft tag, because actually Michele recommended that I give it a try, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. And sorry if my answers are not super in-depth. I'm really tired from yesterday. I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna do what I can, but it's gonna be kind of a sit back, chillax, grab your own magazine, start cutting out your own shit. I don't know. Or you can just chill and listen to me answer these fucking questions. Where am I going with this? I don't know. I'm tired, dudes. I'm tired. We're just gonna get into it. I feel like that's a good spot to start. So I'm gonna try and answer all 30. If I don't do all 30, I'll do 15 of them. Well, here's hoping we do all 30 though. So, number 1, when and how did you first know you were a witch? I mean, I can't remember the specific moment that I sat down and I was like, yeah, I'm a witch. I just know that whenever I was like looking into paganism and all of that sort of stuff, and just witchcraft in general, that I was really interested in it. And there were certain things that I had done as a child that seemed kind of witchy to me. So for me, adopting the label and title of witch was not super difficult, especially since my birthday is on Halloween or Samhain. Everyone always kind of called me a witch child or the devil's child when I was a kid anyways, which made it very difficult when you're growing up in a Christian family and you feel like God and Jesus hate you anyways because kids are calling you the devil's child and the devil's daughter and telling you you have no choice, you're just born evil. So yeah. Identifying with the label of witch was not that hard since I was already called that, and I kind of identified with that as a younger child, but I didn't know the associations with the word witch, what that was when I was younger, of course. I would probably say, though, it would have to be after I did like my first after I did my first couple of spells, probably would be, I would say, around the time I started kind of really adopting and using the label witch for myself more. Just because, to me, and to a lot of pagans, a witch is someone who actively works in witchcraft. So I felt like once I started actively working in witchcraft, I could then use that label on myself. Number 2, how long have you been practicing? I've been practicing for a little over 2 years. I started in October of, I want to say, 2016. So this upcoming October will be 3 years of practicing paganism and witchcraft. So it's been a pretty cool, long road. Like, I've learned a lot about myself. I've just discovered more depths of myself that I never thought were possible, and I never got that sort of experience whenever I was Christian or whenever I was agnostic. It has really brought out some of the better parts of myself in following this path, and I couldn't be more happy to be on this road. Number 3, what kind of a witch are you? Are you a good witch or a bad witch? Just kidding. I don't really know how to answer that. I guess the best term to fit me would be eclectic, just because I really kind of throw everything I love in a bucket and then mix it up and spit out my own spiritual path, right? I don't know. That's how I've always kind of, like, even before other pagans and witches were saying it's okay to, like, kind of make your own thing and do what works for you, I was already kind of doing that. So I'm a very strong-willed person when it comes, especially I knew whenever I was going to look for something, a religious path that would really work for me and resonate with me, I knew I would take only what was good for me and leave the rest behind. I always had that. Even, like, I told myself that before I started studying any of paganism, that if I didn't like it, I would just drop it. And that was that. So, you know, eclectic. 4, what path or tradition do you follow? Well, my path is a personal path, and it's all kinds of chaotic. It's, what would I say? I think the closest thing for me so far would probably be maybe shamanic. That and, like, a lot of shadow work and light work, I guess. It's a very big mixture of that. I struggle to say shamanism just because there's a lot to do with astral traveling in that, and right now I'm still trying to understand how I define astral traveling, I guess, because I've seen how I've seen definitions of astral traveling, but it seems a little bit different for everyone else. So for me, I think I have an idea of how I associate that, but I'm not really sure at this time, like, my absolute definition of it, I guess. But ever since I was young, I've always been kind of a dream walker, or a daydream walker too. I could easily get lost in a different reality, I guess you could say. And I mean, all throughout school, I mean it. In class, I would just days off. And I was fortunate enough to be very talented to be able to pass my classes with very good grades without really having to pay attention. Like, I would usually just be able to learn it once and be able to figure it out after that if I didn't have the help of my teachers. So oftentimes I'd be the one staring out the window in another place entirely. I mean, I'd like to say I think that would be considered astral traveling, but since I don't really know if I consider it that, that's where I'm kind of confused in the whether I can consider myself a shaman, because shamans do a lot of astral travel work. But just a lot of healing, mostly of self, sometimes towards others, depending, but I'd say a lot of my work is healing work and love work. It's really, self-healing is a major part of it. So, that, and I've been getting more interested into working with a lot of fae magic and stuff like that, or just I've been interested in a lot of the mythologies and stuff like that. I mean, I've always been interested, but lately I've been taking a more in-depth way I can make magic more magical for me, if that makes sense. Take a more magical aspect on it. So I've just been working with a lot of fae beings as of lately, and it's been really interesting. Really enjoying it. Have any of y'all out there ever like practiced modeling stuff before? Like, not with a company necessarily, but like with yourself, having some, like a friend or something, take photography of you just to kind of feel like you're a model? I personally have been kind of trying to, I guess, fill out, like taking more pictures of myself, getting more comfortable with my body and like posing and stuff, and it's a lot harder than you would think if you hadn't done it before, like learning poses and poses that work for you. So that's something that's something I've just been interested in lately, just trying to take more pictures of myself and understand what kind of poses I like to see myself in pictures. The best part of some of these magazines too is they give you like free stuff to smell. I dig that. I'm gonna cut those out and sniff them because I can. I should probably get on to the next question, huh? Okay. Number 5, is your craft devotional or secular? How do you incorporate your faith into your craft, if you do? Okay, so I had to look up what secular meant because I had no freaking idea. I mean, I had kind of an idea, but like I didn't. So that's why I looked it up. So in case you were in the same boat as me, secular was basically, or from what I understand, like you don't necessarily add religion, or you're not tied to really a religion at all. You're not very religious. I'm kind of digging from that. That's what it kind of seems like. And then devotional is you are religious, be it whatever you are religious underneath. And so, am I religious is what I'm getting from that question. I'd say so, since I consider myself pagan. I really do consider my path to be religious. It's something I believe in, and I work with my deities and my guides and my ancestors. It's very spiritual for me. So yes. And then how do I incorporate my faith into my craft? Literally through every breathing moment. So I was Christian whenever I was a child anyways. Family Christian, yeah. Even whenever I was kind of trying to understand if I believed in the Christian God or not, one of my biggest key points that I had within any of my religious practice when I was younger was praying. That was really the only part of Christianity that I really clung to the hardest, just because I always thought talking to God was a beautiful thing. Except whenever I was a kid, my prayers used to be more about making sure I was forgiven of my sins. That if I had, like, I remember one time my parents were telling me there are sins you don't even know you commit, and that scared the living crap out of me because I didn't want to go to hell, right? So almost every night, or like every other day, I would pray to God and, I would just talk to God about whatever was going on that was interesting in my life, whatever I had struggles with. And then at the end, doesn't matter what the prayer was about, at the end I would always ask God to forgive me of all my sins, including the ones I didn't know that I had committed. Which, how tragic is that? You're a little fucking 9-year-old kid, or however old I was, praying to God to forgive them of sins they don't know they've committed. That's tragic. So that was my life. Either way, despite the Christian part of it, I think praying is really beautiful. The idea of just talking to God one-on-one. That was something I was always about within Christianity. And I definitely brought it through with my path today, because I talk to my deities, to my guides. Mostly my deities. My ancestors. As of lately, my ancestors, high key. Like, we are in touch lately. And it's like talking every day, or almost every day, sometimes I'm busy spirit, sorry. It's just making prayers for them, making poems, songs, doing spell work, using divination with them to talk to them. I just enjoy talking to my guides and my spirits and really getting to know them on better levels that I didn't know them as well before. So, yeah. It's a lot of talking and praying and stuff like that. Number 6, are you a closeted witch or in the open? If so, how do your friends and family feel about your path? So this one's, I already answered a part of it. The second part, I haven't answered how they currently feel about it, because I've talked about how they reacted to my initial coming out about everything. So I am out in the open for a majority, except for right now. I have a new job that I just got, so obviously, in the interview I didn't sit there and be like, by the way guys, I'm a witch. Didn't do that. But maybe in the future, if I open up to some of the people there, who knows? Probably will, because religion and my path is a very big part of my life, so it might happen. And I won't be ashamed if it comes up, like if people are talking about religions and asking if I believe in a god or whatever. I don't mind talking about what I believe in. So, yeah. Not in the closet. And then this one's interesting. If so, how do your friends and family feel about your path? As far as my friends go, anytime I really told a friend, they were supportive. I've never really had a negative experience with friends, mostly because I, like, myself as a person, I don't keep that many people close to me anyways, so if they did have a negative experience about it, we probably wouldn't have been friends right now. My family, which is a harder task to go through, my family first reacted very negatively towards it. I mean, they kicked me out over my first spell, which, if you want to learn more about that, it's in one of my previous videos. I want to say it's in the YouTube Pagan Challenge one. And it might be in another previous video I've done. I don't remember. But so they reacted very negatively. Now we are on okay terms, but I wouldn't say my spirituality is something I can talk about freely with them most of the time. It's not like, I mean, we don't really talk about it, you know? It's not something they're comfortable with discussing, and I just don't care to get into a fight over it, I guess. So, yeah. I mean, my brother and sister, on the other hand, are pretty chill about it because they, you know, aren't very judgmental on that fact, I guess. I don't think they really care, if I'm honest. They're just kind of like, eh, you do you, kid. They are very interested in tarot and oracle, though, so they do like whenever I give them readings about whatever they want to know in their life. I think that's a plus, that they have someone who knows how to read. So, yeah, it's been a struggle. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's definitely, there's still a long way to go to be able to talk about religion and not have it be such a heavy subject whenever people talk to me. Like, people, I remember my grandma a while back was telling me, we were talking about something difficult that she was going through, and I was telling her that I admired her for being able to go through that, and she said, you know, the only way I get through it every day is with the help of Jesus. And she goes, I don't know, like, I know you don't believe in Jesus, but it's something that I really do, like, something that really helps me every day. And I just thought that was so funny, because I'm like, Grandma, I never said I didn't believe in the Christian gods per se, like Jesus and the actual Christian God. I just don't follow that path anymore. So whatever works for you, hell yeah. Use that to help you through your life. That didn't help me whenever I was in that faith. So that's why I went somewhere else. And it was just really funny to me that she almost felt like she had to tiptoe talking about Jesus around me. Like, I don't give a shit, Grandma. You do you. It's silly. Number 7, are you solitary or do you have a coven? That's easy. Solitary. There is, I think, a coven here in my town, but I don't, like, they have meetings and stuff. I just haven't really gone and checked them out yet. So who knows? Maybe in the future I'll find people. Maybe we'll start our own little mini coven. I'm very self-oriented though, so I feel like if I did have a small coven, it would just be like the couple of us all chill with what each other's doing and just working together to, like, there wouldn't be, I don't think there would be any set rules in place. It'd, like, the only set rule would probably to not be an asshole, you know? Like, I don't feel it would be that structured of a coven, I guess. Number 8. What is something you wish someone had told you, or something you wish you knew when you first started? I guess for me, I really don't think I would have wanted to say anything to myself, or I wouldn't want anybody to say anything that wasn't already said. Just because if it didn't happen the way it happened, I wouldn't be at this place and point here right now. I could be somewhere different entirely. So I'm really comfortable with the way things turned out so far, even though they kind of sucked. Those were lessons I needed to learn. These were things I needed to find out for myself in the way that I found them out. I really feel like the world or the divine, the universe, has its own, like, I do believe it's a little bit of free will in it as well. Like, there's free will, but I also believe that there are key points of destiny that we will achieve in our lifetime, during our current lifetime. Like, there are key goals that either we ourselves put in place before we were born, or the divine, the universe, had set in place for us before we were born. And I believe we're all going to hit those checkpoints along our path and learn what we're supposed to learn in these lifetimes. But maybe we can choose to go off those points anyways. Who knows? We could probably choose an entirely different route, but I do believe that our guides do try to lead us the way that we're supposed to live, or supposed to live the way to a greater happiness for ourselves. But I do believe we have to go through a lot of shit to get there. I don't know why this turned into a big ass thing. Anyways, the answer to that question is, I am completely fine with not having anyone tell me anything, because I figured out everything I needed to know through a lot of dedication and time to research. And everything that hurt me had a valid reason to happen. And I'm ready to take those things that hurt me and bring them forward into the future to help others who were in my place. So instead of focusing on what I would want someone else to say to me when I was in that point, I would rather focus on what I want to say to people who are going through those things, what they need to hear in their time of need. I feel like that sounds like an asshole answer. That's not what I'm going for at all. I just can't think of anything I would want to say, because I feel like that would change the events of how my life happened. And yeah, I could have made wiser decisions, but I'm really happy with how, I'm right here and I'm in a good spot right now. So that's all that matters. That was a long, drawn out answer for a simple answer I could have gone with. Anyways, number 9. What resource was most valuable for you? I can read. What resource was most valuable for your beginning practice, and what about now? Those answers are still the same for me. YouTube or the internet in general. One of the big key things, that was my best friend discovering all of the pagan stuff, because I had people on YouTube who knew what they were talking about, and I found it pretty quickly. Whenever I was very lucky to find the better information out there, because I think I told myself that I would really look at it anyways, but yeah, YouTube was a big one for me. Number 10, what was your first spell? Was it successful? Answered this question in the YouTube Pagan Challenge. So my first spell was a fire spell, a fire affirmation. I don't specifically remember exactly what it said in it, or if this technically counts as an affirmation. I don't know. But I believe I wrote on a piece of paper that I wanted my family to understand me better and to be more open to the ideas of what I was presenting with paganism and stuff, instead of immediately just saying it's evil, because at that time that's what they were saying. And literally right after that spell, I got kicked out that day. So funny how that works. Did it work for today though? Was it successful in terms of later on now? In some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. My parents are a little bit more open to, I think because I've been practicing for over 2 years now, they realize it's not something that I was just going through the phase of, Maybe they were hoping it would be a phase, but yeah, sorry. R.I.P. parents, am I right? it was successful in some ways. It wasn't to the extent that I had wanted it to be, but I think right now things are pretty in the middle. It's all right. Number 11, what do you do when you feel out of touch with your craft? A very key important thing, and I think a lot of people should try and do this, is realize what you're going through and let it flow. Sometimes you're just not going to be, you're going to be going through other things in life that take more priority than doing spell work every day. Like, there's going to be some, like, maybe you're going through a really difficult depression. You need to get to the bottom of, or at least the way my depression works, it goes in cycles. So for a very certain, like, sort of time, I will be completely fine. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my depression hits. And sometimes it lasts for anywhere from like 2 months to like a year, depending. Maybe even longer than that, but just sort of a idea of how long it can range from. Sometimes you're going to be dealing with things that hold more priority than doing everyday spell work. So just understand what you're going through and, like, take it easy on yourself and realize that you're in the process of healing, or you're in the process of, maybe you're putting things together in your life. You don't have, like, maybe it's the opposite. You're not depressed. Maybe you're really successful at this current moment and you have a lot of things going on, but you have like all these projects coming up that you have to do. And there's just no time to do the spell work in between. You're so busy taking care of and handling the things that you needed to do. There's no time for the spell work. I would just say, let it pass, let it flow. It's your life's gonna go in cycles. That's how, or at least from my experience, that's how my life has worked. If you love it enough, it will come back. If it's not meant for you, then, you'll find something else. We all get worried with the fact that people who come into paganism aren't going to stay or be a real pagan, quote unquote. At the end of the day, if you've been practicing for a really long time and then all of a sudden it's not working for you anymore, it's okay to move on and try something else. I think it's good. I wouldn't say reject everything completely like some other people in the pagan community, or who used to be in the pagan community that aren't anymore. I'm not going to name names. We all probably have a good idea of who I'm talking about, but I wouldn't recommend completely saying like anyone who is doing paganism's evil or is crazy or whatever, completely throwing it out the window. That was such a big part of your life in the past, just, I would suggest, if it's not right for you anymore, then just admiring the things that you loved about it whenever you had it, and keep a place for that. Like, that was an old part of you, and you were still learning about where you're supposed to be in the world. Anyways, those may not be things you're going through, but I would say just let the feelings flow, let it have its moment, allow it to have its place, because there's a reason you're not practicing. And maybe the reason you're feeling so out of touch is because you're blocking yourself. So allow yourself to figure out what the blockage is and let it flow, and then move on once you're ready. That's it. That's the end of that one. Okay. Number 12, have you ever doubted your faith and ability? Every day of my living life. Oh boy. I cannot tell you how much, especially when I started, how many times I asked in my head, am I crazy? Am I the only one going through this? Is no one else feeling this? My family all around me tells me I'm doing crazy things, so I'm crazy, right? Am I crazy? It's a part of the process. Just allow yourself to feel the feelings and move on. I said that for the last one too, but it's a part of life. We all doubt ourselves at some point. Just know that One thing I started doing as well to help with that a little bit is talking to that part of yourself that is having those doubting abilities, because that part of yourself is it wants to protect you from hurt, from feeling alone in something, from fearing you're not able to do things because you don't want to fall, basically. That part of you is an important thing to have, but just allow yourself, like, thank yourself for having those feelings because they're important. Thank yourself for worrying about yourself, but tell yourself that right now, like, I would tell myself, like, okay, thank you for being worried about me, for worrying if I'll be able to make it because you don't want me to fall, but also, I don't need you in this place and time right now. Right now, this is not doing any good for me in this situation. This is holding me back from doing what I truly want to do or need to do, you know? I understand that you're trying to help me, but you're really hurting us in the end. You're causing more trouble in this situation. I will call you whenever I need you, or I will have you come forward when those feelings are correct for the situation. Right now, they are not. And just gently let yourself know that it's okay for you to feel those things, but if it's not helping you, you need to let yourself know, this isn't helping me. That's just something I started to do, especially before, like, job interview stuff. I would get really anxiety and, like, over the top about it. I would just tell myself, hey, we're fine. It's just a job. It's just a job. Like, you're interviewing these people as much as they're interviewing you. So, like, they're just trying to see if you're the perfect fit for them. You know, this is not the big deal you're making. This isn't life. Like, I'm not going to die if I don't get this interview, or if I don't get this job, right? So, just, I would say, talk to yourself. Just be crazy. You know how I said, like, am I crazy? The answer is yes. Yes, I am. Very over the top crazy, and I love it.